Hello everyone, welcome to Thoughts on Education by Collegedunia. Today we have with us Dr. Shrihari Prakash Honwad. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Good morning.
Before beginning the interview, I would like to grab the opportunity to introduce our guest of honor, Dr. Shrihari Prakash. He is the president of Sir Padampat Singhania University, Udaipur. He is a senior academician with administrative and governance experience. The exposure and contributions to various functions, from teaching at one end of a spectrum to managing the institutions at the other, defines his career. Beginning as a teaching assistant with industrial exposure, his career spans through a path where he became a researcher and eventually a teacher. His progression in teaching career also saw responsibilities of head of department, vice principal, principal of a college with 2,000 students, vice chancellor of university with 12,000 students, and much more. On academic front too, he had the privilege of getting into academic governance through a board of studies and academic council and institutional governance through board of management and board of governors. He has experience of working in unitary, deemed, and affiliating universities in India. He also had the opportunity to visit universities abroad in Spain, France, Turkey, Malaysia, and Thailand. He believes in staying in touch with students through classroom teaching while taking care of his responsibilities. So let's begin with the interview. My first question to you, sir, is that what is the purpose of professional education? How would you define professional education?
At the outset, let me thank you for getting me on this show. And Josefa, you did a you took me through my entire life when you gave that introduction, and it was a little hyperbole. I must say. Let's talk of professional and education. I think we should define education. What is education? I think education is something which the society gives to its members, particularly the newly joined members, so that they can navigate themselves in the society, right? So that's the job. I mean, that's the outcome of an education. That person who is educated can navigate himself in the society. A professional is somebody who is a leader in the society. He is very useful to the society. Take an engineer or a doctor or a lawyer or a pharmacist. When you pick up any of these professionals, they are either thought leaders or they are actual doers, and hence they are leaders. As a result, a professional education has to train the human mind with that purpose, motivate it. The brain has to be trained in terms of the knowledge. The hand has to be trained in terms of the skills. Yeah. And most importantly, the heart has to be trained, because these are the leaders of the society, and these leaders will define what our future is going to be. They are the ones who are going to create the future. They're going to be the ones who will make the future. They'll support the future, and they'll modify the future. And we want their heart to be in the right place, because they will take society to a right place and not the wrong place. And we have had so many examples of professionals who have gone wrong. As a result, I think we should focus on something which is for the head, which is for the hand, and which is for the heart. I think that would be a good definition of a professional education.
What a beautiful set of thoughts, sir. Let's move on to the next question.
Yeah.
According to you, how is higher education changing with time? And what are the challenges for immediate future? How university should cope up with Industry 4.0?
Yeah, I think there are several things which we must take into account when we are talking of higher education. See, the higher education is to make, the outcome of a higher education was always thought to be employability of a student. Today it's much more than that. in terms of, but although in a large scale, it still remains a very important part of the outcome, and that is we must recognize that. Over the years, what has been happening is, in olden days, you would teach the unchanged part of the knowledge, knowledge invariant, which will not change with time. And for the current knowledge, or which is which is coming in continuously, the industry would take responsibility for that. In today's world, the rate at which that knowledge is coming in is so fast that neither the academic institutions nor the industry can cope with the change. And industry is finding it very difficult to train these, because there is always a gap which gets seen, and that's something which is hurting the employability of our graduates. I think that's one thing which we must. Second thing that is happening is Industry 4.0 is becoming, everything is going to be a cyber-based, cyber-assisted. Even manufacturing is going to be cyber-assisted. So much so that people are talking of, you will print everything you want at your home. I mean, not exactly be home, but then close by. Instead of manufacturing it, see how it has changed from mass manufacture. We are now going to specific needs. So everybody will print what he wants, with his own specifications and a unique product. And that's what is changing. Earlier, we thought manufacturing meant you remove, using tools, you cut, you remove material so that you can shape and create those products. Today, 3D printing says you add material, to an existing material, and then build a product from zero. These are the changes which are happening, and the biggest changes, the amount of information and the knowledge which is going to become redundant, because new knowledge is coming in at a very high rate. I don't think universities can easily cope up with this, because universities have teachers who were trained yesterday, using books which were written day before yesterday, using knowledge which was 3 days old. And we are using all that to teach our student how to brace up for tomorrow. Do you really think this equation can converge at any point of time? So what universities have always been trying to achieve is make sure our students learn how to learn. I think it's the learning skills which need to be imparted to our students. And once the students learn how to learn, I think they have their imagination, they are very powerful, and we can trust them to understand the world that they face. As it comes along, they will face up to the challenges, and we must just motivate them, and we must give them that confidence that new challenges will come, and these challenges, some of these challenges are created by you, and I'm sure you will face it and be.
Of course, sir. It is said that. Please continue.
Yeah, please.
Of course, sir. It is said that change is the only constant, and everybody in this world has to change.
So we need to train. I mean, the biggest training human mind needs is how to brace up change. One is you effect the change, so the change is under your control.
Of course,
you're not able to at least learn how to embrace it, so that you can change yourself. And I mean, everybody's, including Mahatma Gandhi, said, "Be the change you want to see in others." I think it's now coming true, because you need to be the change that you are seeing outside all the time. I mean, change is the key word.
So let's.
And everything is changing. Everything is changing. A lot of flexibility coming in. The biggest change that the universities today are looking at is outcome-based education. We have so far been, thriving on content-based education. That means the curriculum defined that this A, B, C, D, E, F, we will teach to our students. Today, it doesn't mean that. Today we are going to define it exactly the other way around, saying that our students will know how to do X, Y, Z, and W, and that's what is the big change in the university.
Of course.
And I'm very happy that some of the universities with whom I have been associated, particularly the current university where I have been associated, Sir Padampat Singhania University, our teachers are really standing up to this challenge, which has fortunately or unfortunately come as a result of Washington Accord. And I think that's a big change. It helps teacher, it gives teacher a framework in which he can improve. And it changes the teacher's position from being sage on stage to a guide on the side. I think that's a big change which universities will have to do. Every teacher will have to do. It's going to be more difficult to the teacher who is more experienced because he's used to doing things in a different style altogether. And that's something which even our students will have to learn, because our students have been passive learners for too long, especially their entire schooling. We insist that they are passive learners and they are same as others. Whereas the moment you come into higher education, you need to show your own uniqueness. You need to see how you are different from the competition. That's what makes you more useful to us.
Of course, sir. Of course. So let's move on to the next question.
Yeah.
What is the significance of diversity in academic institutions? How does this help institutions internationally?
I think diversity is a very important factor during learning, because learning does not just happen in the classroom. You learn more from your friends, you learn more from your surroundings, you learn a lot from other factors which are in play, the society itself. And it's very, very important to make sure that you are exposed to as much of what you are going to be facing in real life during your learning phase, because that's going to make it more lifelike. Lifelike environment is the key. And for that, diversity is absolutely important, because in today's world, there is no limit to where you will find work and where you are going to work, where your karma bhumi is going to be. And for that, it's very, very absolutely important that you get to study within India. I think we have so much of diversity. So that gives, if you have an all India, pan India, faculty and pan India student group, that gives you a lot of learning in terms of learning from people of different type of culture, different type of behavioral things. The things don't mean the same in different cultures. Your body language changes, food changes, the thought process changes. And see, this is what universities abroad are talking about in terms of internationality. They look for internationality, for diversity. In India, we already have so much of diversity. But if we can bring in internationality, also bring in people from other parts of our planet, I'm sure that only is going to add to the experiential learning environment for our graduates. I think that's absolutely wonderful, because that is where major amount of learning is happening. Other than the classroom, I think that's what is very important. And in Sir Padampat Singhania University, we have that entire thing, not just people from north, south, northeast, but also from other parts of planet. We have international students, and I think that's really going to be a wonderful environment for learning.
I totally agree with you, sir. A student should be comfortable with the diversity, whether it's cultural diversity, religious diversity, national diversity, because in the professional world, nobody knows who are you're going to work with, right? So let's move on to the next question now. How can a university accommodate students who need financial assistance? Why are private universities costing more than government universities?
Yeah, I think there are two questions, but then they're related. So let's understand what is this cost of education to the society. Huzefa, you know that there are reports of how much the government spent, how much money is spent in bringing out an IIT graduate.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
that amount, if you consider, that is the amount somebody has to spend. That is the amount which has to come from somebody's pocket. It's either the taxpayers' money which comes out of the government's pocket, or it has to come from somewhere else. Now, if you really compare that with the cost incurred in private universities, I must say private universities are cheaper vis-a-vis some of the government institutions. Now, the quality, you may say, it differs. That differs because of, again, the same thing. The amount of money spent is lower. But in terms of tuition expenses, I think the private institutions are doing a much more efficient job compared to government institutions. Government institutions do have the luxury. I'm not saying they waste their money, but surely they have a better source of raising funds compared to private universities, where the tuition money is the only money you can charge from the society, and on that you are expected to do both research, development, and so many other things which government universities are able to do. And government universities have been there for 50, 100 years. Private universities, you expect them to reach, compete with them in a matter of 5 to 10 years. And some private universities think they are going to compete. I think this is what is happening. Frankly speaking, I would say there is no free lunch. Private universities are not really costly. It's just that since they are private and the government is not spending that tax, that additional tax will go to the society. Then the haves, have-nots, that dialogue will start. But what is important to understand is today private universities are taking a major load of higher education in India, and the society will have to spend on it. The government also must see how it can support this, because the students who are studying in this, their parents, etc., they're all taxpayers and they're all citizens of the country. So any financial support the government is offering across the board, I'm sure they have a duty to offer it even in private institutions. Of course, again, then there will be comparisons, the accredited ones, non-accredited ones, etc., etc. I'm sure the government will work around that. But then what is important is, for example, in terms of research, any research that happens in any of the universities, whether it's private or the government university, it's going to be useful to the society, to the nation at large. So, and there is no guarantee that brilliant minds are only there in government institutions. I mean, every human being has a very intelligent mind, and there is an equal probability of his being able to do. There have been differences, but then in case the government supports, I'm sure the private can come up and do research equally efficiently, if not better, and be there contributing, and that might actually bring down the cost of education in private universities. At the same time, the private universities are also offering support, especially Sir Padampat Singhania University. We are supported by JK Cement, which means we are not for making money. We just this is a CSR venture of JK Cement for public, for the nation, and as a result, we inherit the discipline of a corporate world, and also we have appropriate support from JK Cements to offer scholarship and support to several facets of the society. For example, we have a scheme what is known as farmer's son. Farmers' children are given a special scholarship for studying in Padampat Singhania University because they come from a rural background, and rural background has different problems, and they have a different way of solving those problems. That actually enhances your diversity on the campus. And it's very important that they learn from the urban background students, and rural background students also are able to teach a thing or two to urban students. Quite often, the rural background students suffer from either information where they can do these things, as a result of which they probably are not as ambitious. I'm not going with the exceptions. Exceptions only prove the statements I'm making. And we need to create that. We also have meritorious students scholarship. We would like all meritorious students to join us, and so we have a scheme for that. We give scholarships to our armed forces, including police forces, their children, provided they have a certain level of merit and interest. And we have a differential scholarship based on their merit. We have special scholarships for J&K. Even Northeast students, we have a specialized scholarship scheme. And we have, in addition to these things, we have other ways and means of supporting these students, both on and off campus, as the need be. I think this is something which most universities are doing, and which has to be done. This is how the society takes care of itself. I think it's a natural process of taking care of every part of your society, because eventually it all leads to a wonderful education for every graduate from your university. I think that is the driving force for creating even financial assistance. But a lot more can come if government, being the biggest player in this, government also joins in. I'm sure a lot more can.
Government of India is spending thousands of crores in government universities. And as you said that even a part of it is spent in private universities, then it would be beneficial for all the country. And
no, I'm not saying which part of it. All I'm saying is put only the research funds. Okay. The remaining funds, the society, there are people who can afford it, and society will supplement it. But research is something which will become very difficult, and that's a burden which is very difficult. Any of the most developed countries also, unless there is government support for research does not happen. Even you go to USA, the biggest spender is the government on research. Of course, the industries also spend a lot of money. In India, we haven't had that industry participation in academic institutions. We have an arm's length, relationship with the industry. Both of us complain of, either professionalism or unprofessionalism on each other's parts. But that's going to change with time, because industry is going to be partners in the whole business. We are providing the talent for their usage. I'm sure industry will do better by participating.
All we can do is hope for the best, sir. So let's move on to the next question.
Yeah.
How does collaboration with universities in abroad help? What role has industry associations with university?
Yeah. See, this is bringing in all stakeholders. We talked about diversity earlier. Yeah. Diversity in terms of your friends and colleagues is great, but diversity in terms of learning from different styles of teachers, different ways of thought process is also important. So that is where the universities abroad are going to be very, very useful, because they have developed over the years in a different fashion, and then bringing in teachers to teach our students is going to be fantastic experience, different experience for our students, so that students learn from different styles of different kinds of materials. I think that's the biggest advantage. And these relationships also bring in, even for a short time, foreign students to come. Our students can reach out to these universities. For example, we have relationship with University of Nebraska, Omaha, and our students can take their courses online. Our graduates can get admission in University of Nebraska without the mandatory, entrance tests, because that's the advantage of a relationship. Similarly, we have a relationship with Lincoln University and many such universities, which, I don't think this is the forum to start listing out these universities, but these two are, at the top of my mind, and they stand apart because these relationships are wonderful. And it brings in faculty, that brings in students, that helps our faculty to go and teach there, which gives an opportunity for our faculty to learn, to teach different kinds of students, and that is something which opens the minds for everybody in a university. University is a place where all doors and all windows have to be open. Any external input to come in so that it can be absorbed and lessons can be done. That's the big advantage of it. Similarly, in the industry is at the cutting edge of technology. Industry is where things are changing. It's better to bring the industry to the university. Earlier also we talked about industry participation only on a financial term. I think in terms of knowledge and skill terms, I think it's mandatory for the industry to come to the university, because a lot of these skills which the industry has, they become proprietary and they are part of their, their assets in terms of competition and other things. Whereas they would have no qualms in teaching it to students, some of whom would join the industry. And I'm sure this would be a very wonderful practice if we can achieve it. And we have an association with a lot of industries, both Indian and international industries. J.K. Cement, of course, is very much part of the story. But we also have with Hitachi Japan, who interact with our railway engineering students. And our students have been able to go and do internships at the industry, which is, not really bringing knowledge to the university with to the professors so that they can disseminate, which also is a very important part which the industry should do, get the professors so that the knowledge goes to more and more people. But industry is happy to bring students in as interns and then teach them, train them, and some of them could become useful. And instead of doing a 1 hour or half an hour interview where you select students, take the student for 6 months, 3 months, and you can really judge him during that period, and you actually are selecting much better employees, and in the process training them also. So that's a relationship with industry which is important, and industry has to participate everywhere, including curriculum design, laboratories, support the laboratories. Some of the things which are not useful in the industry, which they are going to throw out, the universities may be very happy to accept those equipments and because they become very useful teaching material. That's, I think, is the advantage of having a relationship with industry.
It is so good to know that both the students and the teachers at Sir Padampat Singhania University are getting industrial exposure as well as international exposure. So my next question to you is, what is the significance of research culture in a university? How can private universities contribute to research?
See, everybody has to contribute to research. Research is knowledge creation. Most of the job which universities do is knowledge dissemination. I think if you're not a creator, your dissemination process will suffer because you're disseminating the same old stuff, you're recycling the same old stuff. If you're a creator, then you take charge of the change that is happening in the society. So research has that big importance. And we have 5 research centers, 5 areas: energy, environment, artificial intelligence, and machine learning, and image processing, and of course, we are even doing research on teaching learning process.
Okay. So, sir, my last question to you for this interview is that what is the role of campus life outside classroom activities in overall development of the graduate?
Yeah, I think all along this interview, we have been talking about things happening outside the campus life. Extracurricular activities are where life skills are built up. I mean, life skills are difficult to build through a course where you teach him more English, you teach him how to behave, you give him a capsule of the negotiation skills. Instead, in an extracurricular activity, the students have to do these things both amongst themselves and vie for the leadership positions, and do across outside with the society also, and they build these skills automatically. I think that is the biggest advantage of a campus life. And campus life is absolutely essential because this, let's all understand, is the golden period of a student's, of any human being's life. And that is one part which you will never forget, no matter what else you do life, whether you are very successful or you are a mediocre citizen in terms of success, the way society defines success. But you will enjoy, and that is why you must enjoy that campus life with your friends, colleagues, your teachers, and other people on the campus life is absolutely.
I totally agree. Yeah. Please go on.
I suppose we have touched most aspects of higher education which you wanted to ask. I enjoyed talking to you. I hope you find some of the things which we discussed useful, worthwhile sharing it with others. Thank you very much.
Same here, sir. I have same feelings here. First of all, I would like to thank you for connecting with Collegedunia and lightening our minds with your thoughts. And I am 100% sure that this interview will help various students around the globe who gets chance to view your interview. So with this small note, I would like to conclude the session. Thanks again for a truly memorable interview.
Thank you.